Just seem a little extra into it today.
I'm into life.
That's love
I'm
that
just
for you.
into life.
Wow. Welcome to Cue the Mic. I'm Darren Worth.
And I'm the suspendous Randy Twyford.
Suspendous?
You're not familiar with that word?
No.
Super person. Just a super duper type person. Stupendous.
Huh.
That's Franklin grammar. Franklin high school grammar.
Oh.
Learn something new every day.
That's a choice. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, you do.
Suspendous. It's like it's not been a very suspendous day out. It's been a pretty shitty day out. You know, rainy, nasty.
Yeah.
But if the sun was shining, oh, what a suspendous day we fucking have. You know. There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm Emma Derflinger, and this is episode 81.
81. Sorry.
Flip backwards is
Sorry,
18.
Sorry, we're a day late and $1 short, but, you know, we had shit going on. And so we're a day late, but please excuse us for all you habitual listeners, all three of you. No, I tell you what.
We have way more than that.
I ran into a lot of listeners. Every person I talked to, well, I heard it on the podcast. I heard it on the podcast. And then they're talking to Sherry, and she got sick of people saying, well, I heard it on the podcast. And she's like, do you talk bad about me on the podcast? I'm like, I don't even talk about you on the podcast.
That's not true at all.
We talk about her on the podcast?
No, not at all. I can't remember once that we did.
We do. I mean, it's never bad.
You're a fucking
narc.
But
we do.
She's narking you out.
Huh.
Well, I'm just stating facts.
Sometimes facts aren't the best thing. Facts cannot be your friend. Fictitious facts.
No.
I'm kind of full of big words today, aren't I?
Is there alcohol in that coffee mug that you've been sipping on for the last hour?
No.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
No.
Just seem a little extra into it today.
I'm into life.
That's love that for you.
I'm just into life.
Wow.
Wow. That is
somebody grabbed the wrong candy jar.
I think so too.
Somebody is eating out of the wrong gummy bear pile.
No. I do have one of those pins over here. If we all had a pin, we could take a hit off the pin.
Darren might need one.
I've yet to figure out what they do.
Hey, I got four solid days of 7.5 hours of sleep.
Wow.
I was just telling Randy that I got 10 last night and I didn't even know. I woke up
4 days straight.
How was the motorhome? Kind of the big outing, several days. Did everything
the
work
American
all right?
Royal Barbecue? The motorhome. Well,
did you have to have what's his name with the short arms
T-Rex?
Come fix anything? T-Rex.
Yeah, well, you know, the motorhome, we couldn't get the slide out still. So
son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's okay. But old Wade Reader and all these guys were we tried to hot wire it, and then it was all fucked up cattywampus. But they were just bound and determined we were going to have this slide out. So
I could just
between electronically and mechanically, we manually kind of electronically put this slide back out. And I said, guys, we'll get it out, but then it's going to be pouring down rain on Sunday, and you're going to have to come and put it back in the rain. Oh, that's okay. We'll do it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, luckily it wasn't raining, and we were able to get it back in successfully. So um, that broke. So we got it back in.
Good.
Day one, we only had 20 amp circuits, so that fine because we didn't need any air conditioning. But
Needed a heater,
every time
probably.
we had a little bit of heat, but
Yeah.
that's okay because our heat is gas powered or diesel powered.
Oh, really?
Except for when you want to, run the appliances in the morning, then we wanted to pop a breaker. So the first morning, I'm like, hey, no problem. We'll just flip over to the generator for a little bit. And so we flipped over to the generator and ran everything fine until day two. Then we flipped over and the generator wouldn't start on day two. What else? So we dealt with it and we had to make sure everything was off. And then Sherry had to do her hair in unison, don't run your blow dryer and have your straightener on at the same time. Just had to play a little game.
Sure.
Make sure all the heat was off and no fans and, make sure the refrigerator wasn't running. And then, just little shit, it's electronics, right? There's
Right.
just more electronics in that son of a bitch than I ever would imagine.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah. I've only cussed it about 5 times. A couple times I had to go down and shut down the whole system and to reset it. And what are you doing? Yoga?
Yeah, I'm stretching. I don't know. Yeah. We've been waiting for you for a long time. My back started to hurt.
Well, I tell you, I was trying to get out of there.
And now
I was
I'm
trying to
always
get
in pain.
out of there. I was trying to get out of there, but I didn't get
It's
out
okay.
of there.
We forgive you.
So how did the competition trailer work for you?
Yeah.
It was fine. We had a plan. So we knew the rain was coming, right? And so and of course the back trailer, the back pit is exposed. So I had taken an easy up, and we knew the rain was going to leak down over where the meat was. So we put the easy up next to it, and we designed old Jason Waite and his lovely bride Cheryl Ann. They helped us. They were our gophers all weekend long. They fixed everything. They ran after everything. They were just like our personalist concierge all weekend long.
Valet.
And love them to death. Could never. They had our catering pass since we didn't do the tenderloin fry. They were able to come and go. So I think they went to Menards 52 times for us, Walmart 32 times. They were just our bitch. They were our bitches, right?
There you go.
They did a great job. And he's such a handyman. So anyway, we set up and we decided we were going to put a gutter system on the end of the Easy Up tent and tie it to the Easy Up. So if water came off the tent, that it wouldn't fall down on my Jambo. It would hit the gutter and then go. So we had a gutter system all set up, and that all worked kind of, but we couldn't get it. We needed more design work. We needed more drawings, but it's fine. We made it work. And then the tent, we were missing the tent in order to make the peak of the tent go up. We had lost the little turnstile thing that tightened the spring up to push the tent up. So that took a couple engineering gurus, old T-Rex and Jason were able to engineer a part, and Stretch came in. He was next to us, so he had to get his grinder out once and engineer a couple parts for us to make it so that we could get that up. And so we survived. The tent never fell down.
That's the main
The brisket never got wet. At one point I had to when I was putting meat on, I had to have a full pan over the top of the meat in order to get it inside the pit so it didn't get wet. But it only rained while we were cooking for about 4 hours. Torrential downpoured for about 4 hours while we were
just
cooking.
torrential.
It was why, it was pretty damn torrential.
No big deal.
Yeah, and so like Saturday, this was Sunday morning. I went inside and I had my full gear on, right? And so I was fine, and so Sherry had gotten up and I looked at her and I said, honey, how about you just go right back to bed until about 10 o'clock? She goes, why? And I said, it's just fucking miserable out here. And you're just going to be miserable. Just go back to bed. I'll handle everything until 10 o'clock. And then you can come out and maybe the sun will shine. So she just kind of hung out in the trailer and did some stuff. And then she came back out. That way I said, there's no sense in you being drenched too. So we had the rain suit on and the Gore-Tex on. And yeah, it was, but it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting cook. We were a little, it was kind of weird not having the tenderloin fry. I'm not sure how we ever put in because we never sat down the entire day on Friday, but we had some, the dogs or the cleaners there?
Both.
Oh. But we had a good time. They wanted Fun Darren to come out on Wednesday and Thursday night.
Right.
Did he?
So everybody was insistent that Darren fall off the wagon and have a few bourbons.
Right.
Did he?
Yeah. I had some bourbons. I was very in tune. I had just a few bourbons. Nothing. I was in bed by 11. Very much in control. Drank some really, really, really nice bourbons.
Yeah.
Figured if I was going to drink, I was going to drink some really nice stuff. But we had just a lot of amazing food. Just ate some amazing food over the weekend.
Speaking of Stretch,
just a great, yeah.
Speaking of Stretch, I saw a video of his hog he did for the hog turn-in thing. That was quite an apparatus.
Yeah, it was quite the apparatus. The judges were worried that he was going to catch his hog on fire. He was going to catch the tent on fire.
Uh-huh.
I talked to some judges. They thought his hog was dry.
Right.
Yikes.
But other than that, they said it was cool. Thought the hog was dry. Everybody thought the shed had they won. They had the juicy hog.
Sure.
I guess old Mark Lambert, they put on a hell of a show. He came out as Jason. And they had
Happy Halloween.
And they come out and they had a chainsaw, or not a chainsaw, but he come out in a mask and never said a word during his presentation. But he walks out in this butcher outfit and Jason and takes and chops the hog's head off with a machete out in front of everybody. And I guess it was just people were going crazy.
Rambo.
It was crazy. So, yeah. So we missed it. We were trying to get stuff done and ready to go and prepped up. And they said the awards while we were, I don't know, lollygagging around. We got there about 20 minutes late to be able to see it all.
What a shame.
But other than that, I mean, it was fun. It was probably one of our more fun Royals, even though the weather was warmer than we thought it was going to be, but it was still breezy. Lots of campfires around, lots of, the rain kind of it held off except for the invitational awards were a bitch. I mean, we were drenched. It was soaking wet.
Just umbrellas and rain suits and.
It was just miserable.
That does sound gross.
Miserable wet.
They had no place for you to get in out of the weather or anything.
No, you're out on the infield of the speedway.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the midway. Yeah, everybody. We stayed actually on the pit road. Everybody else, there was a lot of people that were out in the.
Last year, you said that's the best place to sit.
Where?
On the pit road. I think.
No.
Maybe not.
We always sit in the crowd, but.
Maybe I made that up.
But the problem is, so we had the old Smokey D's wannabes.
I saw that.
We're down there, and Sherry on Saturday, Sherry's knee was bugging her, so she's like, "We've never had anybody ever run our boxes for us." And I said, "Just have Jeff run our boxes for us." So old Jeff from the wannabes, he ran our boxes.
I was not sure who you were talking about.
Yeah, so Jeff and Bam, they hung out all weekend long with us, and
good,
and their wives and stuff. So we had a good time with them. But they ran the boxes, and he was able to pick up a few pointers, and see different things as he was running our box. And then, so he turned in the last and it was starting to rain. It kind of rained during turn-ins a little bit. And so I said, here, wear my raincoat. So when he got done with the last turn-in, he was right next to turn-ins. Well, he had to turn in his vegetable categories. And I said, well, you don't have to bring that stuff back. I'll just get it from you at awards. So he was turning his vegetables. Well, I never thought that he had my raincoat. So we would get ready to go to awards, and it starts pouring down rain, and I don't have a coat.
Shit.
All I got's a sweatshirt, and I am drenched. I mean, this sweatshirt weighs 150 pounds. I mean, it is wet. I'm like, Sherry, where is he? And we're trying to get a hold of him, and finally he comes over, and I take off the sweatshirt and put on my raincoat. And I mean, it was just miserable. We're just miserable, but in the end, we end up getting a perfect score in pork.
I saw that. I saw that.
Have you been struggling in pork?
Define struggling, Emma.
Hasn't it not been hitting like you think it should be hitting?
It was hitting a while and then it disappeared and now it reappeared. So we got a perfect score in pork, got second place, got a perfect 180.
I'm curious, was it anything similar to the pork you turned in at Murfreesboro as far as presentation?
I think it was presentation. I don't even remember what it looked like. Was it the cubed and the pulled, or was it just the?
Yes, it's a cubed.
No, I took the cubed away. I just kind of turned in slices and pulled.
Okay.
It was funny as we were doing the box. I thought maybe we needed a little bit more sauce, and it looked beautiful on the table. And so I got ready to put it in the box. And I said, "Hey, sure, give me a spatula." And she goes, honey, we don't have a spatula. I'm like, okay, well, I'll put this freehand in there. So I took the piles and put it in there. I said, wow, I think I need some sauce. She goes, oh, I think it's good. So I grabbed the bottle of sauce and drizzled it all over the top. She goes, okay, that's enough. And so then I grabbed the bottle of sauce and I drizzled more. And she goes, okay, that's enough.
I could just hear.
And so then I grabbed the bottle again and I started drizzling. She goes, will you quit it? And I'm like, come on, I think it needs a little bit. I think we need to make this a little saucy. So then we grab the water bottle. She's trying to melt it down as I grab the bottle of sauce for the fourth time and put some more sauce on it. Just because I knew it was just going to melt away, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the 180 pork, right? With a lot of sauce on it.
Heavy sauce.
And so beautiful box. Tasted really good. I actually tasted the pork after the fact. Thought it was really good. It was really well done. And I was happy with that. I wasn't expecting really any call. My chicken, it was okay. My ribs were really good. My pork was really good. And my brisket was absolutely the worst brisket I think I could ever cook in my life.
Is that right?
There's got to be one.
I don't think that I could have even tried to cook a worse brisket than I cooked. And it was my own damn fault, right? We were getting ready to leave, and what day was it? We were leaving Wednesday morning, and Wednesday morning at 2 a.m., I'm trimming my brisket because, of course, I'm up at 2 a.m. Why not trim your brisket? So I'm trimming chicken and brisket, and I look, and here is a brisket that I had in the refrigerator left over from the jack, and I had trimmed it at the jack and cryovac it, and I'm like, I forgot about it in there, along with 6 other packages of chicken that I forgot about that were 3 weeks old. And I'm like, these are going to smell. So I was getting ready to throw it out, and I'm like, well, I'll just open this up. And I'm like, it didn't smell. I'm like, wow, it's marbled pretty good. Hell, I'm just going to cook this one.
Okay.
Well, but it was kind of hard. It was a little hard, and it just, I shouldn't have cooked it. I knew I shouldn't have cooked it, but I cooked it.
Yeah.
I just shouldn't have cooked it. And it ended up being like gray, and it texture, it was hard, and it had a black line across it. It was just, it wasn't rotten, but it acted like it wanted to be rotten. It just was not good. So when I got done, I just slathered more sauce on it and put more sauce and whatever. And I don't know, I ended up getting 140 something out of 160 or whatever. I don't know. It was bad. It was just bad.
Yeah.
You got what you deserve.
Yeah.
I got what I deserved.
Thank
but you know
you,
what?
Randy. You said what I was thinking.
But it was the invitational, and the invitational is I don't care.
Right.
Who cares?
I really don't care about the Invitational. I throw all my shitty meat at the Invitational, but it was bad.
I hate that attitude. That's a bad attitude.
Get over it.
It's not the attitude of a winner. You should always want to produce the best.
Anyway.
Right, Twilight?
So, but anyway, was happy, elated with the second place pork call. And funny place with the pork is, so the pork, I get the 180. I get my score sheets, right? I look at the score sheet. I get 5 judges that give me a perfect 36,999.
Right.
And one judge gives me a 31.
Wow.
And then I look at my chicken score. I get 90th in chicken, right?
Okay.
90th in chicken, which is, it's fine. Out of 100, I don't know, 140, 150 people, right? First on my table. I won my table for 90th in chicken.
Huh.
So what you're saying is that was a low scoring table.
That was a really low scoring table.
So whoever got that table through the whole cycles, they got screwed. They got the low scores.
They probably got screwed a little bit. So,
yeah.
But you know what? That's the American Royal,
right?
But you know, day one, Hot Daddies come out. They're great friends of ours. They come out. They win the American Royal. He's been cooking really hot. He went down to the Jack. We thought he had the Jack one. Came out super hot. He about broke my neck at the Jack when I was sitting right in front of him, and he got a couple calls, and he grabbed a hold of me and gave me a neck adjustment, which took about 4 weeks to get back to normal from. And so when
4 weeks,
and I know, so I'm just joking, but when they won, I was telling everybody, I'm going, okay, stay away from him, stay away, wait till he gets some of the adrenaline worked off, right? Because Kyle is just this big brute. Right. And he gets very emotional and he doesn't know his own strength. And so I'm like, okay, send somebody that we don't know up to him. I want him to squeeze somebody else a couple times first and then I'll go shake his hand.
God damn.
But it was funny because all the Iowa teams and Minnesota teams that all compete together and whatever, they all went through and everybody made a bridge for him to go through.
Sure.
And it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of exciting time. And then we got done, and then Jeff brought out, we'd taken quite a few bottles of bourbon down, and so Jeff wanted to raid my bourbon cabinet, and so I gave him some really nice bottles to take down, some of which we put up. Ace Sutton did a little bourbon raffle for a charity for Mission 100, I think, a veterans deal. So we donated a couple bottles there, and we had some secret bottle stashes around when special people would come around. We'd or hot chicks would come around. We'd
I'm glad
share
you put that preface in
we would share
gross
bottles with them, and then like the Shields purchasing guys came around, and so even though I was in bed, Jeff was sharing my bottles with them. And when Hot Daddies won, they brought out a bottle of Pappy 10, right? And then the Pappy 10 led to a bottle of Pappy 12-year-old. And, for those who don't know, that's a pretty expensive bottle of booze, bourbon, which then led to some really nice tequila, which led to some even nicer tequila.
Oh, boy.
But all in moderation. We just had a little sipper of each one. But we had Saturday night it was kind of a blustery, windy. It wasn't really raining, but we had a nice little celebration under the Snake River Farms tent where we had a bunch of Snake River Farms stuff we needed to cook up and we kind of had a taco night, and we had hidden like 4 lobster tails. Because the night before we had scallop and shrimp tacos and steak tacos and whatever. And we had 4 lobster tails. So we waited till everything got cooked off. And then Jeff and I took the lobster tails, threw them on the flat top, and we took a tortilla and we threw a lobster tail in the middle of it and ate lobster tails for dinner on a low carb tortilla. It was amazing.
Sounds like it.
Nobody really knew. Nobody really knew about it, but
perfect.
yeah. but lots of fun. They had on Thursday night, Halloween, they had a trick or treat night.
Aw,
And
that's fun.
so a ton of teams dressed up. So they started right across from our side at Blues Hog, where Blues Hog actually gave them a bucket
Yeah.
and a map of where to go trick or treating. So a lot of teams handed out candy. And there was some kids, but it was mainly adults.
I love that.
And there was some great
I
costumes.
could
I mean,
only
just
imagine.
amazing costumes.
I loved that.
I didn't get any pictures, but
I love Halloween.
see, I hate it, but
I do
it
too.
doesn't
I
matter.
hate Halloween.
You guys are losers.
Yeah, well,
Halloween is the
Whatever.
best.
but it was a lot of fun. So they ended up there. You know, they went around, and there was probably 50 places they went trick or treating.
Oh my!
And then 2.5 hours later, they ended back up right by our site. And Snake River Farms has a hot dog feed every year. So they cooked up 600 hot dogs with all the fixins.
Oh, okay.
You know, they had chili dogs and they had all kinds of whatever. And people wait
Sounds
in line,
good.
just like the old tenderloin feed. They wait in line for 2 hours to eat a damn hot dog. They really don't wait 2 hours in line to eat a hot dog. They wait 2 hours in line to get condiments to put on their hot dog.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
And so we're going to re-engineer that next year because they've always just have kind of one little place to put condiments. So I said, Anella, next year Darren's in charge of condiments. We're going to have 3 condiment stations with double-sided lines, and we're going to move the hot dog line through.
There you go. Expedite.
But we're going to expedite it. We need to improve that process.
The expedition of
Surprise, surprise.
Yep. So we were able to stay up till 10 o'clock on Saturday night because daylight savings time. So we didn't have to get to bed at 9 because we were going to gain an hour. So we stayed up till 10 eating lobster tails and drinking a little bit of bourbon and tequila. And then we woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to torrential downpours.
Oh, boy.
And so it took the pit and the wind blowing right into the stack, which I hate. So it took me about an hour and 15 minutes to get the pit up to temp. But once it got up to temp, the old Jambos, you know, they love the rain. And so we fought through it for, I don't know, it rained till about 9:30 in the morning, and then it cleared off. And then we saw the sun for about 32 seconds. And then it went cloudy and windy again. But it allowed us to at least get everything dried out before we had to put it away.
Put it way back, yeah.
And so then we had a miraculous cook on day 2. We actually kind of flawless, actually. My chicken was really good. My ribs were even better the next day. The pork was really solid, and the brisket was 10 times better. You've got mail.
No, Lane's calling me.
Oh.
I declined it. Nobody.
Should we answer it online?
No.
Well, let us
I don't
talk
know what
to
he's
him.
going to say. No. It's probably about he is in charge of drone club at the middle school, Southeast Polk Middle School this year. So he's
Drone
probably
club.
calling to tell me about that. Yeah.
So Saturday, and then we had sausage. So I took some It's My Jam breakfast sausage.
Oh, okay.
Infused it with a little, you know, like we do at the American Royal every year. And as you know, Seth has put together a little concoction of butter and maple syrup into the sausage, and then you finish it with a brown butter sauce with maple syrup and sea salt. And so we ran and we've scored in this a couple times, and Seth has always scored with it. And so we ran that recipe. In the meantime, old Derek from Shigan, he's says, "Hey, what do you want to do for sausage?" I said, "Well, here's what I'm doing." He goes, "Hey, okay, I'm going to do the same thing." So anyway, I've got my sausage on, finishing up my brisket, and all of a sudden I go to lift up my pit door, and here's Derek's sausage on my damn pit. I'm like, what? I'm like, what the fuck's this? And he goes, we want to cool down our pit. I'm just cooking mine on yours. I'm like, you can't do that. And he's like, nobody will give a shit. Yours is still going. So he cooks his sausage on my pit, and he's like, hey, I gotta go turn in brisket. Will you check it and make sure it's done? I'm like, so you want me to cook the sausage too? Yeah, can you? So anyway, we go through this whole thing. I end up cooking his damn sausage on my pit. I give him the recipe, right? I do everything. Well, guess who gets the call-in sausage? He does.
Oh, boy.
He does. He gets like 10th or 11th in sausage. And I get like 50th or something.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there like a rule against somebody using your pit? Like, is that a thing?
Oh, yeah.
So how do they know
illegal.
that?
I'm thinking about getting him disqualified for next year.
Well, how do they know that? You know,
Somebody rats you out.
Oh,
somebody rats you out or mentions it
now,
on a podcast.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Nobody.
He might have shit. He might have the KCBS Gestapo come see it, knock on his door.
Yeah.
I better not go any further than that.
And of course, he only cooks 6 little balls of sausage. And Jeff's like, how are we going to try it? And he goes, I don't know. I did 6 balls. I'm like, he had some were this big and some were this big. And mine, of course, were perfectly all measured out. Dumbass.
Well,
you know, it kind of
reminds better than yours. So.
Kind of reminds me of some kind of deal that I would have gotten involved with, and you would have bailed my ass out.
Yeah.
That checks out too.
It was fun, but anyway, so then we, so it took us, you know, when you have a motorhome, it takes a while to get shit cleaned up. We're used to being out of there in about 20 minutes. Hook on, let's go. You know, but it took us a while to get cleaned up. But we got everything over to the hotel. And parked, and then we came back for awards. And you know, it was storm. Awards were starting at 5, and we could see this storm coming, and it started to get windier. And of course, I was all dressed out in Gore-Tex. I was like, "Bring it on, baby!" And so they were just fiddle fucking around with awards. They were like, "Okay, you know, 25th and potato and whatever." And then all of a sudden, they saw the storm was coming. And so then they started speed reading on the awards.
Oh, boy.
Like, okay, chicken, 25th, 24th, 25th, like a damn auctioneer, you know, and trying to speed through this thing. And we got all the way through awards. There was one little rain shower that came through for 5 minutes. But other than that, we got through. But, boy, it got windier and shit. And easy ups were, they thought they were going to fly because everybody brought easy ups to stay away from the wind or stay away from the rain. But they got through, and in the end, old Chunky Barbecue out of the Northeast ends up winning, and they were in second place for the team of the year. And I think they needed 33 points or something like that to win team of the year, and they ended up getting 34 points by winning the Open. So that not only did they win the Royal Open, they ended up winning team of the year by 1 point by winning.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Be that close.
It was pretty cool.
Good for them.
Yeah, we thought we were going to have a pretty good chance of. They have this thing called the Legends contest. Right. So they have a contest. Anybody that's been there 20 years or longer. And you know, Donnie Teal for years has always won the Legends contest, the highest scoring. Well, then we thought, Donnie's not there this year. He wasn't at the Royal. So we thought, boy, we might step up. Well, shit. And then the Slabs come up and pull off a 30th place, and they end up winning the Legends. We didn't even get first or second in the damn Legends.
Yikes.
I saw the Slabs. Do they cook much?
You have a lot going on.
Yeah. But the surprise of the year was I think it was the 13th place overall in the Open of the Smoky D's Wannabes.
I saw that this morning. I was looking at the scores, and I'm like, them little shits.
Them little shits. You know, and them little suckers, they even, you know, when they didn't get any calls in the 4th category, they left. They left awards. They didn't want to get wet.
Oh, my God.
And, of course, and of course, we're standing up there because, I want to stand up there. I want to figure out who wins and congratulate the winner and do the
right,
cordial thing,
like you've always said.
Like I always do. I want to be there on stage, congratulate the winner. I don't care if it's raining, snowing, whatever. I'm going to be there to congratulate the winner. And they call Smokey D's wannabes. So I'm like, well, you son of bitches ain't here. I'll go accept your award on your behalf.
There you
Is
go.
it
So
their
I
actual
went up.
team name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So years ago, Jeff and Bam used to run the Skywalk, and Jeff was in the kitchen he was in the kitchen at Second Avenue.
Yeah.
And so when they wanted to get into barbecue, I helped them get into barbecue and kind of sponsored them, and they were the Smokey D's wannabes. So we had T-shirts made, and on the back it says "Fear the Wannabes."
Well, you
Right?
should fear the wannabes, it sounds like.
And so this year they came out and they started competing again, and they called themselves the Clean Plate Club because I don't know they had somebody name their name. Well, they were doing okay, but they weren't doing the worth of shit. Well, Jeff happens to be one of our delivery drivers for PFG.
Okay.
And one day, about 2 months ago, he goes, "Hey, what'd you think if we switched our name back to the Smokey D's Wannabes?" I'm like, "Hey, I'd be all over that." So I've been kind of sponsoring them up in meat. And I'm like, "Hey, just go pick out your meat in the cooler. It'd be fine. Get your ribs and pork and whatever." So anyway, I've been kind of sponsoring them up. And, so then they did that back in 2012, I think. They put off a third place or a fourth place at the Open, just out of nowhere.
I think I kind of remember that. I think we were still cooking when that, because it was just kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And I'm like, them son of a bitches, but yeah, just happier and shit. Just happier and shit. They were in tears. It was awesome.
So did they come back?
Yeah.
Did they come back?
So Sherry called them. I was up getting the ribbon for them, and I was getting my picture taken with the ribbon.
Uh-huh.
And then they came back. So I handed them the ribbon. They got their own picture taken. But,
okay.
Yeah. Fear the wannabes.
Fear the wannabes.
Smokey D's wannabes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Lots of fun. Lots of memories. We had lots of we had some boys from Minnesota. They cooked up some killer good, like Philly cheesesteaks. I mean, of course, I just had small portions of stuff.
Sure.
The wannabes, or not the wannabes, the guys from Minnesota, they had, we had soft shell crab po' boys.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Sounds good.
We made corned beef hash one morning from the It's My Jam. We had chorizo tacos. We had Snake River Farm stuff. We ate pretty good. That we wore out that Blackstone griddle pretty much every day.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Lots of cooking, lots of fun, lots of community type things. We just hung out and never sat down. I don't know. I just wanted to sit down. Only time I really got to sit down was we went to the Hall of Fame ceremony. The pregame, since we're in the Hall of Fame already. We went to right after turn-ins of the day of the Invitational. You kind of got to throw on some clothes and go off-site to an induction ceremony where they inducted Fast Eddie, Diva Q, and Rick Brown from Barbecue America. And one other person got inducted into the Barbecue Hall of Fame. So they have a little cocktail and hors d'oeuvre hour, and then they give their speeches and stuff. So spent a couple hours there, got to hang out with Pat Burke sat at the table with me, and
really?
Sherry, and him and his pit boy. We had a lot of fun, and we get ready to do the Pat's always given the good luck toast or the final toast of the night. And so I saw Ray Lampe walk by him and said something to him about 5 minutes before this thing was over. And so then Ray goes up to the stage and he goes, "Well, and we'd like to finalize this by, doing a good luck toast. And I'd like to invite Darren to the stage to do good luck toast." And Pat goes, "Yeah, I told him you'd want to do it this year instead of me." So I had to go up and do an impromptu good luck toast.
And it went.
It was fine. You know me. I like to talk.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm very well aware.
Yeah.
How many teams did they have? How many teams did they have in the Open, Darren? Do you know?
I think there was 450 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was down. It was down quite a bit, and I'm not sure if it was down because it was of the timing from a Halloween standpoint. I'm not sure if it was down because of last year's scoring snafu.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Is it die? I'm not sure why it was down. But there was still plenty of fun to be had. But I'll tell you, back to the Hall of Fame induction thing. One of the things that was really, really special was Big Bob Gibson was inducted into the Legacy Hall of Fame.
Don McLemore.
Chris No, Big Bob Gibson.
Oh, Big Bob Gibson. Okay. So that's why Don was there.
Whoa.
Right. So Chris Lilly gets up on stage and he starts introducing people about generations. Well, Don McLemore was third generation. So that was Big Bob Gibson's. His
grandson.
Don's wife. That was his grandson, right? Or his wife's?
No, it's in his dad. It's on Don's side.
Okay, so it was Don's
grandfather.
Right. So it was Don's grandfather. So third generation. And then it started going to the fourth generation and the fifth generation, the sixth generation. I think they got down to even the little baby grandkids. They got down to the seventh generation, I believe.
Wow.
And they had them all standing on stage.
That's so fun.
Incredible.
And it was just crazy. And they just talked about businesses, carrying on businesses and stuff. And it was really moving. It was really moving.
I'd like to have been there and seen Don. Cool. I saw Don there. It kind of surprised me, but now that makes sense.
Yeah, I hadn't seen him much thing. He's really starting to age off a little bit, but he was there. Yeah, I never got a chance to talk to him. I mean, it was kind of a, we got there late. They had the shuttle bus all fucked up. So we sat out in the rain for a little bit trying to get in the shuttle bus. So we were supposed to be there at 3, and by the time we got there it was 4, and so we had to be back by 5. So the whole thing was kind of rushed up. So
right.
Damn.
But it was fine. We didn't. I guess Tootsie was there. I never got to even see her. We just everybody was kind of in place by the time everybody was on the infield got there. So there wasn't a lot of mingling going on.
By the time you guys,
but it was a good. It was a good thing. So, but no, got to talk to a lot of people. Got to hear the word. Got to hear everybody like, hey, I heard it on the podcast. Hey, I love your podcast. Hey, I love your podcast. I mean, Sherry,
we love you guys.
I think Sherry got so sick of hearing that. She's like, what the hell do you guys talk about on this thing? She goes, you talk about me all the time? I'm like, I don't talk about you at all on the podcast.
None.
Maybe.
A little.
I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to be called a narc again.
Right. But there was a couple things that come up. Two things that really stuck out when I was having kind of in-depth conversations with people about the podcast. And one of them was, what do you do with the customers that try and come to you that were cheap, that people, and I think a lot of people run into this is, hey, my cheapest catering is $18.99 a person. Somebody comes in with an $8. I tell them to pound sand. And I'm like, quit telling them to pound sand. Find a way to feed them. And that doesn't mean cut your prices. Find what you can feed them, right? Find a portion. Don't give them a full meal, but feed them some pork. Say, here, I can't do that, but here's what I can do. I can't give you the whole buffet, but for that budget, I can give you X, right? I can give you, let's say your pork is, just round off, $15 a pound, $16 a pound. Let's make it really round.
Okay.
$16 a pound. Well, that means if 4 sandwiches per pound, that means for $4, I can get a sandwich, right? So now all of a sudden, if my budget's 8, now all of a sudden I can get you that many sandwiches per pound with the pork. Now, sauce is extra, buns extra, whatever. So, hey, go buy your own buns, save yourself some money. Go buy yourself sauce, save yourself some money. Go buy your own plates, save yourself some money. But let them taste the barbecue. Now, don't drive 100 miles to give it to them. Make them come get it. Make them do it. But find a way to give them something, even though it may be only 25% on what they want. Let them do that, right?
I
give them
agree,
away
100%.
because by giving him something, if somebody tastes that at that event, that person may be able to afford the whole shebang. But rather than just turn away the business, try and sell them on, here's what you can get for that budget.
Are you okay? Brandy's taking notes.
That's why our bulk meat and side dishes at Smokey D's is a huge part of our business. So, would we prefer to have catering where we can charge another, if you unbundle that stuff,
right?
You could buy our catering for $3 a person cheaper than you can our catering, but we're not going to deliver bulk meat and sides. So you got to pick it up. So if I'm a secretary, I could just order bulk meat and sides and come pick it up, but secretaries don't want to come pick it up. So they're willing to pay that premium. If somebody wants the delivery and the convenience of, hey, I want somebody just to handle it all, it's cheaper, right? It's more expensive to do that. So just find a way to feed them something. So make it fit within their budget, because they're not going to find anybody else to do that either. So just sell them on something that, hey, maybe your barbecue is not going to feed, nobody else is going to feed it anyway. So just let their barbecue maybe be, hey, if you want everybody to try the barbecue, maybe it's a little 2-ounce slider and everybody's going to get some of that, but you're also going to have to fill in maybe with some ham sandwich or something,
right?
Something else, right? Or some sloppy joes or whatever. But
I found those sliders, they go a long way.
They do.
They really go a long way, and I think kind of dress things up a little bit. Kind of gives it a little upscale look, the appetizer slider type deal. So,
right, but you're not giving them the full shebang.
No,
just give them a taste. Give them something that fits their budget. So, if their budget's $8, don't tell them no. Just find, here's what I can do that fits within your budget, and then sometimes you'll say, well, maybe, and then what they'll do is, well, I kind of want you to do this too. Hey, I kind of want you to do this too. And pretty soon their $8 budget really isn't $8. It was really $15 anyway. They were just trying to get you to do 8.
Right.
But if you just turn them 8 and they're turned away, because they're going to have to go buy ham. It's going to be the same, ham's going to be expensive too.
And they're going to be going to get that also. So the not delivery thing is
right. Okay. So why wouldn't they just come get your barbecue and give everybody a choice? So just find a way to feed them. That's how you're going to grow.
Yeah, and but the key is ask what their budget is.
Right.
And then do some probing questions. When they go, well, I want $8. Well, what were you looking to get for $8? And
right.
Ask some questions, what they're doing. And I don't know how many times I've talked to somebody and they've had a lower budget than what we can do at catering. But then when you get to talking to them, well, we're having just a reception type deal where people are going to be coming and going and stuff. And so, we have our graduation package that we could use of just sliders and pulled pork and stuff. And we can do that and get you underneath that budget.
Right. Right. There's a way to feed them. May not make them, it may not be an all you can eat buffet, but it's a way to feed them.
And the biggest thing is it gets your name out there. I mean, especially if it's an area where you're not normally into doing a catering and stuff. You don't have much business there, or, that'll get you into that market. People try your stuff and,
yeah, that's why I go back to whether it's tongs with your name on it or something that's marking yourself on that pan or in front of it, that when you're just a part of the solution, I don't care if they take Smokey D's pork and put a bottle of Kraft barbecue sauce next to it. I just want them to know that it's Smokey D's pork.
Right.
Right?
So you give them a
I don't
set
care
of
what the
tongs.
barbecue sauce they put on it, because people know that I'm not serving Kraft. That's why my set of tongs, even though they're $1 a piece, is worth their weight in gold.
I agree 100%. And then what I like to do with those tongs, when you pick up an account and you're the first time you cater there, go into the kitchen area and look in the drawers and see who else has been catering.
That is invasive. Don't
No,
do
it's
that.
not. Oh, I do it all the time. If I go someplace and I want to see who's been in there catering before, I'll just, open up the drawers and there'll be somebody else's tongs in there. And they're like, oh, so-and-so used to cater here. Now I've got their business. Little market research is what you're doing. Finding out who's there.
That feels like a shady way to do that.
Ah, come on. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and Randy's wearing milk-bone underwear.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Some other bastard will do it to you. You know they will.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
So the other thing, I was talking to old Lauren Hill from the Smoking Hills, who kind of came out of retirement to cook the Royal. And, of course, they finished in the top 20 with a really nice rib call. I was talking to him, and he's like, how do you guys get these pork steaks right? He said he normally just takes pork steaks and grill them off. I'm like, oh, no, Lauren. You gotta kind of low and slow these things. Or you can speed them up, too, but you got to kind of get them tender and then grill them off. And I was telling him to kind of, almost think like you're cooking a rib, right?
I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
I treat it just like a
and
rib.
then finish it off. But I said I would put the pork steak expert on it on the podcast.
Well, I mean,
So,
first mistake people make is they'll go to the grocery store and get pork steak, and they're just a little thicker than a piece of paper. Because, a lot of these places have real thin pork steaks, and they're always on sale and stuff. Spend the money and get about a half inch or a little less, 3/8 or maybe a little shy of a half inch.
Inch.
You think inch?
I like big old thick ones.
you guys just showed your inch measurements were two very different sizes.
Got a tape measure?
Yes.
Oh.
Of course he does. He's sitting at Amanda's desk.
I would go that route. If you can get them cut for a half inch or an inch, but half isn't going to hurt you. But you do that, and it's going to save them from drying out.
Right.
I
And if you want to save them, if you're going to get the thin ones, I would suggest brining them.
Okay. Never done that.
I like brining them. If I get a thin one and I don't have a good quality piece of pork steak, I like that whole ratio of 1 cup of kosher salt to a gallon of water. Now you can do a half cup to a half gallon, quarter cup to a quarter gallon, whatever. I like to brine them babies for 4 hours, and that makes a big difference if you don't have a great cut of pork steak.
Right. But you get that thicker cut of pork steak, then you will, it won't dry out on you as quick. And
Right.
It gives you a little, and you're right, Darren. Treat it kind of as a rib. Seasoning, any good pork seasoning will work on them. I like, just whatever you got handy. And then,
I like Big Papa's Sweet Money, but I also like Heavy Smokes White Label.
okay.
Those are my two kind of go-to porks right now, even though it's kind of hard to beat Smoke Guns Hot,
Yeah, it is.
also known as Smokey D's Rub.
Yeah, there you go.
Just gave
So
out our secrets.
then what we've done in the past is wrap them in foil. Did we take and put any salt, brown sugar, and honey? Yeah, we put brown sugar and honey in there too.
Right from the start?
No, after they're about half done, up about 140 or so, 150, then wrap them in foil, treating them just like a rib. And then once they get about done, then take them out of the foil and finish them off when they get up to about
Right.
200.
So let's talk about that timeline, Randy.
All right.
So we're going to season our pork steak. We're going to put
Season-
it offset,
Indirect.
225, 250 degrees, indirect. Cool
I would
side
rather
of the
go
grill.
250. I'd rather go 250.
250, 300 if you're in a hurry.
Yeah, exactly. And then run that on up there to about 145 to 150. And at that point, then you're wrapping it in foil with brown sugar and honey. And
Maybe a little apple juice too if you want. A little butter.
Kind of
Just depends.
get a little more moisture in there. And then just cook them like that. Cook them. And then once they get up to about 200, that's when I take them off and I'll put them on the grill and, finish them off and char them up. But you want to sauce them when you do that too, because you want to get that sauce kind of charred up on you some.
Right.
And then you'll have a pork steak you can be proud of.
Right. Finger licking good and tender almost to the fork.
Yes, yeah. But the key is to run it up to 200. Treat it just like a pork butt. Or back to a
one
rib.
of my favorite things to do, I think the best part of that damn pork butt is that pork collar, and you can buy them pretty much anywhere. I mean, I tell you, even Snake River Farms sells those Berkshire pork collars, and you can buy from Compart, you can buy those pork collars. Take them pork collars, and I've been doing that. I've been cutting like 3 or 4 steaks off the pork collars every time I buy a pork collar.
Okay.
I've been cutting steaks, and you just get that end. Oh, mighty fine.
Now, how do you cook those? Same way?
Same way. Same way. The only thing you're missing is that one little thing next to the bone, that one little nugget. Oh,
right. That's golden.
That's golden.
Golden.
God, it's so dark. I have a question for cooking. I mean, we're almost reached an hour, but how do you guys cook Brussels sprouts?
Oh.
I just can't make a good Brussels sprout, but I love them.
Well, Brussels sprouts, to me, I cook them 2 different ways.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. 2 different ways. So first, my favorite way, or Sherry's favorite way, is you get a salad shooter.
Okay.
Like from Presto,
Yeah.
an Oronco salad shooter.
Right.
And you shred those bitches up, just like coleslaw, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Shred it up. And then you get a cast iron skillet or a skillet, and you take bacon and chop it up and cook that bacon in that skillet, right? And when it's done, you strain off the bacon, but leave the bacon grease in there. And then you put that and have that hot, put the bacon, pick the bacon off to the side, strain it out with a spoon, but leave the bacon grease and throw that Brussels sprout right in that bacon grease and stir it, right? And you'll just cook it down. And when it's almost done, throw that bacon right back in it. And to me, that it just uses that bacon grease, cooks that Brussels sprout, and amazing. Now, you wouldn't have to shred it there, but that's ultimately, Sherry likes the texture of it when it's shredded. The other thing we do with Brussels sprouts is we make this mixture where we take maple syrup and sriracha and soy sauce and oil and a little bit of water, and we make up this kind of sweet and savory dressing. And we'll take cauliflower and carrots and Brussels sprouts cut in half, broccoli, really any vegetable you want, and we'll put it in a Ziploc bag and we'll drizzle that over the top of it, and we'll just turn that bag all day long. And it just makes this sweet and spicy kind of thing.
I'll be damned.
And then we spread that on a sheet pan and put that in the oven for like 375, and it'll just bake it and kind of caramelize those vegetables.
Sure.
But every time you turn the bag, you got to open it and taste a vegetable. And so it's half gone by the time you're done. But it really puts a char on them. But I mean,
I bet it does.
You want to make a Brussels sprout, put some oil in a pan and just cut them in half and put them on there. And when you're done, just put a
Mm-hmm.
real nice crisp on them. And when you're done, just put a little fresh Parmesan cheese on top of them, a little salt and pepper, a little
Okay.
drizzle of balsamic vinegar on top.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
balsamic's good on them.
Okay.
Just sear them though. You want
Because
them. You
I've
want a Brussels sprout
maybe
hot,
that's what I've been, because I've been air frying them, and
which is fine.
yeah. Well, yesterday I just made the worst Brussels sprouts I've ever had in my life. I didn't know how it was
But
so bad.
what'd you do?
I just air fried them with I put, seasoning on it as I would, and then I just air fried it, probably for too long.
Did you
I didn't think
spray
it
them?
was.
Did you spray?
Yes. Yeah, with oil for
And
I just tossed them in there for, I think, only like 10 minutes. Maybe that was too long.
were they crispy? Were they soft?
Yeah. No,
They weren't soft.
they weren't soft, but they were crisp,
Then they weren't done.
and they taste like shit.
Well,
They
then
tasted burnt. Like it was a weird. I don't know how I did it. I've made Brussels sprouts before that way, and yesterday I just messed it up.
It
good.
seems like you were a little. If they weren't done, but they were burnt, that means your air fryer was maybe set a little too high. So you
Running
need
a
to
little
dial
warm.
that back, go a little longer
Okay.
until they get tender, and then flip up the temp on them and finish them.
Okay. This is good information to have. Because I'm back on my health kick. So we're eating so many vegetables and ground meat. Woo! And sweet
Ground.
potatoes.
Ooh, sweet potatoes.
Yeah. I've mastered the sweet potato in the air fryer. But
So long
Nothing
and short
else.
of it, the Royal was a success.
Royals a success. Sherry said it may have been one of the most fun Royals that we've ever had, which I agree. We saw a lot of people, lots of fun. Lots
Good.
of fun.
good.
That's the main thing.
Even though the weather wasn't really conducive to a ton of fun, but we just had a lot of fun. We didn't,
That's
it
amazing.
used to be we get there and it was just a drunken stupor the whole time we were there, and it wasn't that case. It was just
You guys are all getting kind of old now.
we're
Mellowing
getting
out.
kind of old. One of the highlights we saw was Megan Day, from Burnt Finger. Her son, who is probably, I don't know, maybe he's 8 or 9, might be 10. Old Hank, takes DJ lessons,
Love that.
and he was
Love
running a
that.
DJ booth at a big party, and he had his headset on. He was whatever, playing songs, request, and he wanted to buy his own light show, so he had his Venmo and a tip jar set out. And we were all tipping him big money, and he was
Love that.
it was
That
fun.
is so cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So saw a lot of people. It was just good.
Right on.
Right on.
One more thing before we leave. Randy, it's time for your acronym segment.
I don't have
Oh,
one. I don't have
God.
one. I don't have one.
So you've given up.
I haven't given up.
We
I
haven't
just
given
don't
you an
have
inch.
one this week.
Okay, well, we told you had one more chance. So I feel like we're going to have to cut your segment.
No. You can't.
Okay, well, if you don't have one next week, it's getting cut.
It's going to be
as a producer.
unbelievable.
As a producer, I'm making that executive decision. If you don't have one next week,
It'll be
segment's
unbelievable.
over.
It'll be unbelievable next week.
RSPW. RSPW. Randy sucks pond water.
this
Ouch.
one's not very good either.
That's,
Better than Randy's got.
yeah, which
Well,
is
last
nothing.
week, Randy just gave us one that was really popular. It wasn't even original. That was
I'm going to have
disappointing.
to work on some real original ones. I'll get you some.
Yeah. You just came out, so
I might
ready
start
to go.
I might start a library of them.
You should ask your followers to start sending you some.
One would be a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how you start a library, just one book, and then you just keep going from there and there and on. So
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was episode 81 of Cue the Mic. If you haven't already, follow us on social media at Cue the Mic Pod, or find us on YouTube at Cue the Mic Podcast. Subscribe, follow, do all of the things. Randy, take it away.
boom. Done, over with, out of here. Adios.
Hey, we forgot to talk about my 15th place ribs out of 450 teams on day 2.
Oh, really?
Nobody gives a shit. Boom. We're out of here.
Okay, well, we will see you guys next week.
Adios.